All right, man, peace. So now it's all starting to come out. All the things that I've been saying for the longest time starting to come out. I knew it, man. Kyrie's finally starting to come out and admit that he did not want to play with LeBron, that a lot of LeBron's ways were annoying to him and vexing to him. A lot of what was going on in Cleveland were a vexation to his spirit, that there was tension not just between him and LeBron, but him and Tyron Lue. I told you, brothers, that he did not like Tyron Lue's quote-unquote style of coaching. And it's all starting to come out. Like they said, if it does not come out in the wash, it will come out in the rinse. But anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
How about a little inside info for you? Prior to the Cavs' decision to trade Kyrie Irving to Boston during the offseason, Ty Lue urged general manager Koby Altman to keep Irving. Now, according to our Dave McMenamin, Lue based his opinion on the Lakers' denial of Kobe Bryant's trade request. That was in 2007, which allowed the sides to all work things out. Stephen A., apparently Lue wanted to keep Kyrie. Talk to me.
That's something that's being said.
And let me say this before Stephen A. starts in his rhetoric. The difference between the Kobe Bryant situation with the Lakers in 2007 and the Kyrie Irving situation with Cleveland is that I believe that the Lakers were more sure that they could build a championship team around Kobe than the Cleveland Cavaliers were that they could build a championship team around Kyrie Irving. This is, of course, based on the presumption that LeBron James is going to leave. I believe that Tyron Lue wanted Kyrie to stay because he believes that LeBron is going to leave.
Out of Cleveland. It's something that people have articulated. LeBron James and his camp have definitely made sure to let everybody know we want to lose Kyrie. We want to lose Kyrie. We want Kyrie to stay.
Do you see the tone in Stephen A. Smith's voice? There's certainly some tension between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James's camp. I believe that I've mentioned previously that I believe that Stephen A. Smith is frustrated with LeBron because LeBron will not give him any sit-down interviews. I'm also pretty sure, based on Stephen A.'s tone, that it has gotten back to him that LeBron James is not a big fan of his. Whenever you see Stephen A. start with that derisive tone towards anyone, it's because he's heard that person does not like him. Stephen A. is very, very sensitive. Despite what he says about sensitive athletes, quote unquote, he's by far the most sensitive of any sports personality on the air today. Not even close.
There are things that have happened with them on a personal level that's really none of anybody's business.
Now listen to what he just said. He said that there are things that have happened between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James on a personal level that are no one's business. I wonder what that could be. One must wonder what that could be. If you guys remember, in one of the previous conversations about Kyrie and LeBron, I believe even Molly Karam chimed in, was there a woman involved? Seems to me, wouldn't shock me if LeBron James may have done something with one of Kyrie's previous paramours. Who knows? I mean, what else could that be alluding to? I'm sure that it was not alluding to any type of physical altercation. So what else could it be alluding to that may have occurred between Kyrie and LeBron James that would be, quote unquote, none of anybody's business? I guess we'll find out eventually. Things tend to come out eventually.
On a professional level, LeBron James, it really was about Kyrie wanting out, but Kyrie had a couple of years left on his contract. They didn't have to oblige. And
Look, I'm already on record as stating I believe that Kyrie Irving told him that if they don't trade him, he's going to retire. Just my opinion. People might say, well, that sounds a bit far-fetched. I mean, you guys got to think about it like this. When in history has a team ever been so desperate to get rid of someone that they traded him to an in-conference rival? I mean, I can't think of anything like this in all my time watching sports where a team has traded one of their prime players in their prime to their intra-conference rival. I mean, it's incredible. And Boston was not even on Kyrie's list.
And if LeBron James and those guys were hell-bent on keeping him there, I think he would still be there. Now,
I don't. I believe that Kyrie was done. I believe that mentally he was done with LeBron's antics. I believe that he knew that LeBron was going to eventually leave at the end of this season, especially if he happened to stay, and that LeBron was going to leave him high and dry, and he said, I want out, especially after he found out, as was reported a long time ago by Rob Parker, that Cleveland attempted to make a deal involving Phoenix and the Indiana Pacers, in which they would receive Paul George and Eric Bledsoe, with Kyrie going to Phoenix. I believe that once Kyrie found out about that, he understood that LeBron James was aware of it, that he basically had been betrayed and that he was done. And I believe that he went up to the office after that trade fell through, and he told them that I want to be traded. These are the teams that I want to be traded to, and if I don't get traded to these teams, I'm going to retire. I honestly believe that. And they may have tried to rebuff him or tried to calm him down. And I believe that he was so resolute. They've known him for 5-6 years. They know how he is. He probably made it known to them. No, I'm going to retire. So I believe that they organized a trade with the Boston Celtics because that was the team that was left that could provide them with the pieces that could still make them a championship contending team and appease LeBron, and hopefully put them in the best position to pick up the pieces once LeBron leaves. I think that they looked at it and said, well, we're going to have to trade Kyrie to an intra-conference rival, and we're just going to have to deal with the repercussions and hope that by the time Boston is good, we're no longer good enough for it to look like a terrible trade, because LeBron won't be here either.
That doesn't mean that would have been the right thing to do, because if you're LeBron James and you're the best in the world and you're going to be a title contender, look, if the brother wants to leave, let him leave, because I'm not going to beg him to stay now. I want him to stay. But if he doesn't want to stay, what can I do? So LeBron James can't be blamed for that. But I don't want to hear Tyron Lue saying that right now, because this happened in the summertime.
Well, you might not want to hear Tyron Lue say it, but what else is he going to say? I could sit here and say, I don't want to hear you talk about things that happen between Kyrie and LeBron, but that's their business. Well, if it's their business, you shouldn't have alluded to it. Either speak on it or don't bring it up at all.
It is now the new year. I didn't hear Tyron Lue say this before, and I love Tyron Lue. I happen to believe in him as a coach, and I love him as a person. But I respectfully don't want to hear that from him now.
Well, of course he's going to say it now. When you look at the halfway point, and the Celtics are on pace to win 60-plus games. Even with the bad stretch that they went through, they're still on pace to win 60-plus games. Do I believe they're going to win 60-plus games? No, most likely not. They're probably in the season somewhere around 54, 55 wins. But Tyron's looking at Boston, he's looking at how they play, and he sees that they're going to be a threat. And he wants to levy a preemptive strike to say, look, in case we lose to Boston, I did not want them to trade Kyrie. That's what that's really about.
Whenever this was said, because the bottom line is clear. Not enough was done to assuage the feelings and the emotional state of mind that Kyrie Irving was in. Not enough was done. We hear Jackie McMullen, I watched on SportsCenter last night, alluding to how there was an incident in practice where Kyrie Irving, Tyron Lue wanted him to push the ball up the floor, and Kyrie Irving wasn't trying to do that, and essentially alluded to that being LeBron James' job. Because Tyron Lue said, you push the ball up the floor, you get shots for other people. You understand? And Kyrie was like, what you worried about me for? I'm going to get my shot no matter what. Ain't nobody going to stop me from getting my shot. He was like, well, what about everybody else? And Tyron Lue reportedly said, hey, that's LeBron James' job. So
you mean Kyrie Irving said that's LeBron James' job? In other words, that's Kyrie's frustration that Tyron Lue, you would not let him play point guard. That's really what Kyrie was saying. Kyrie was saying, you have me out here basically just utilizing me as a weapon, as a scorer, and now you're telling me that I'm in charge of the pace? No, you cannot tell me that I'm in charge of the pace when you want the ball in LeBron James's hands all the time. And then on top of that, LeBron James came and kind of hit Kyrie with a little subliminal insult when he demanded a trade for a ball handler, basically for a distributor. So really, what are you saying? LeBron, you want to run the LeBron system where you have the ball in your hands all the time. You already have a quote-unquote point guard there that you will not use in that capacity. And now you're asking for a distributor and ball handler. I stated at the time that LeBron was clearly asking Cleveland's front office to trade for Chris Paul. I said that at the time. It was obvious to me. And Rob Parker came out months later and said that's what it was. And it's obvious. I mean, what else could it have been? You have Chris Paul, who was a malcontent with the Los Angeles Clippers. He and LeBron are close friends, as close as two guys could be in the NBA, along with D. Wade and Carmelo, etc. LeBron James, of course, heard directly, most likely directly from Chris Paul, that he was unhappy. LeBron thought he could make that happen and play GM once again. LeBron most likely got frustrated with David Griffin, that David Griffin was not willing to make that happen. And that may have led to some ripples in the locker room, some issues in the locker room.
So that makes Kyrie look selfish. That harkened me back, Max, to when Kyrie Irving showed up here. Now, well, no, to me, it didn't make him look selfish. It made him look like someone who's basically saying, well, you guys marginalized me, and now you're trying to act like I'm in control of what's going on with the offense. You're the one who has designed this unimaginative offense that's dominated by LeBron. And now basically you're going to try to make me confederate in why the pace is so slow and why these other guys are not getting the ball. You can't blame me for that when LeBron is the one that's handling the basketball. And you cannot call Kyrie selfish for his appearance on your show when he was basically attacked. And he defended himself. He evaded, he deflected, he did a lot of things, but the one thing that I think you could appeal from here is that there was a respect for Tyron Lue that did not seem that evident. Right. I don't think there's any way. That's the only way. He was here for 2 hours, and when you consider the fact that he was here for 2 hours, over an hour, rather.
Yeah, maybe an hour.
Over an hour. When you consider the fact that he was here for over an hour, let's take into consider an hour and a half actually, because he came from the B block. But if you look at him, and when he came, everything that he was saying, it didn't seem to have the profound respect for Tyron Lue, let's say, that he has for Brad Stevens.
I mean, why would he have respect for Tyron Lue? I told you guys when I did that series on Kyrie Irving when he did the sit down on First Take. I stated that you could tell by how Kyrie was expressing himself that he had no respect for Tyron Lue. Kyrie is an extremely intelligent person. You might not always vibe with his ideologies, but his brain functionality, his cognitive function is unquestioned. And people like that oftentimes have a disdain for simple-minded people. That's just par for the course. Intelligent people oftentimes have a very low level of patience for stupidity. Kyrie can see the game in a way that Tyron Lue cannot see the game. LeBron can see the game in the same way that Kyrie can see the game, but LeBron wants to be able to control all the chess pieces on the chessboard. And Kyrie's someone who will not allow himself to be controlled because he's not a pawn. He views himself as a king also. So you can't have two kings. One of them has to go.
That much was noticeable. And so now that this story comes out at this particular moment in time about what may have transpired in practice and beyond and all of this other stuff, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Tyron Lue was willing to say something like that to deflect attention away from any kind of friction that may have existed between them. Because Tyron ain't about that. He wants to coach a team, get paid, go home, mind his business. He ain't about all that drama. That much I can tell you about him. And that's the only way that I can make sense out of this happening right now, these words being said right now.
Yeah, right now it seems self-serving for Ty Lue to say that. Right. Kyrie's having a fantastic year. He's a fantastic player. And when he was on the show, I want to revisit that since you brought it up, Stephen A.
I'm sure you do want to revisit it because you got embarrassed and you still have not gotten over it. Like most Caucasian liberals, whenever you're faced down by a so-called black person, particularly a so-called black man, that is when your true vitriol comes out because once again, you have the white man's bird mentality. And when you get rebuffed or rejected, it's a hurt to your heart. And you barely wanted to call him a nigger, but you couldn't.
Stephen A., when he was on the show, other than him saying that he's very much woke, where if someone suggests the earth is flat, which he's done since then again, they're not very much woke. They're the opposite of very much woke. They're dreaming.
All right, yeah, I get it. But move past that. Just keep it about basketball. I mean, really, who cares?
But it's a really stupid thing to say. But other than that,
well, I mean, look, if it's a stupid thing to say, you say stupid things on every episode of this show. So okay, what Kyrie said was stupid, then now he's in the same club as you. The difference is you're in the VIP of stupidity. He just got past the bouncer.
The other thing which stood out to me, the other thing that stood out to me about Kyrie is I asked him, listen, if you want to tell us it's none of our business, your personal relationship with LeBron James, and that may be the reason you're leaving, just tell us it's none of our business. And
Well, the reason why you were telling him to tell you that it's none of your business was because you were going to try to use that statement as an admission by silence, or as an admission of an indirect, or a circuitous way of acknowledging your own personal narrative that he and LeBron were going back and forth like cats and dogs. Kyrie was not ready or willing to go there because he was in a positive mode and he was moving forward. But, like everything else in life, once people have the closure that they need, then they're willing to talk about things that, that were negative and that they moved past. But he was not going to allow you to tell him how to answer so that you could help foster your own narrative. He was not going to do that.
I'll respect that. And he didn't want to do that either. He wanted to kind of control. You always say LeBron wants to control the narrative. He wanted to control the narrative, Kyrie, to where he even evaded that.
Well, that's what kings do. Kings control. So you just have to deal with that. Kings control. That's why I stated that they're both kings. They cannot be on the same chessboard. Kyrie had to go find his own chessboard. A king is not going to allow you to dictate the rules of engagement. Verbally, intellectually, it is what it is. If you're going to defeat Kyrie, then you're going to have to defeat him. But you're not going to get him to submit.
You got to be the bad guy a little bit, but it's okay to be the bad guy. I'm not really putting that on. Just say it's none of his business. You got it. That's your and LeBron's business. I do understand, though, why he wouldn't want to be perceived as selfish. Because, in fact, the reason LeBron's on ball, or was on ball when Kyrie was in Cleveland, was because the team functioned best that way. Because LeBron is the most brilliant player.
Well, LeBron is also terrible off the ball. LeBron's been playing the LeBron James system for his entire life, from junior high school. And LeBron is a basketball genius. There's no doubt about that. But sometimes you can use a genius's sometimes you could use a genius's brilliance against them, because sometimes genius can lead to hubris if they're not used to being checked, if they're not used to checking themselves. And if you notice, most of LeBron James's failures have been from him trying to do too much, because he has succumbed to his own brilliance and greatness. You can use it against him. Kind of like the Incredible Hulk. There were ways that you could use the Incredible Hulk's his might against him. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron really only knows how to play one way. I've mentioned this before. He only has a plan A. His plan A is the LeBron system. Dominate the ball. Yell at everybody else if they don't do what you think that they should have done. He's not really as multifaceted in regards to his ability to move fluidly in various roles across the court as the media tries to make him out to be. But for what he can do, he is a wonderkind. There's no doubt about that. But no, Kyrie could never have played point guard for that team, because LeBron is not a catch and shoot player. He's not somebody who's going to catch the ball on the wing and make a quick decision. LeBron likes to hold the ball and survey the floor. So that's why he's always talking about how he's a distributor, because LeBron James wants to be a point guard. That's what he's always wanted to be. Sometimes somebody can have too many gifts. LeBron's one of those people who has almost too many gifts. And I think that it's kind of held him back. That's why I compare him a lot to Wilt Chamberlain.
He's better than Kyrie. He's a better, smarter passer than, better, more gifted passer than Kyrie. And Kyrie is great. Kyrie is showing this year that he's not a selfish player. Kyrie is a team-oriented player whose numbers, whose scoring averages, assist averages and stuff is not what he's about. You can see his numbers are lower than you would anticipate as the primary ball handler, because he's just trying to win. He's also playing defense in high-leverage moments. But the point is, he was used off-ball a lot because the team functioned better that way. And so for him to ask out seems selfish because of a personal relationship with LeBron, because he wants his own team. All seems selfish, and he doesn't want to appear selfish.
No, the reason why you guys in the media tried to cast him as selfish is because you have a love affair with LeBron James. Kyrie Irving has a ruling class mentality, so he understands that in order for him to maximize his potential and accomplish what he wants to accomplish in life, he has to understand what his goals are and pursue them. That's how he can become happy. I touch on this numerous times, especially the so-called black man is always encouraged to just go through life and deal with the drudgery and just accept depression and accept marginalization. When you have a ruling class mentality, you don't succumb to that. Kyrie Irving did not succumb to that. He made his own destiny. So kudos to him.
And I understand that, Stephen A., based on the way he's playing this year so far. Kyrie is playing an unselfish, fantastic brand of basketball. I understand why he wouldn't want to be perceived as a selfish player, because he's not.
Listen to what folks in Cleveland today, meaning people that are there today, have said to me.
No shit. Today, meaning people that did. No shit, Stephen A. Well, what did you think that we thought you meant yesterday?
About the Kyrie situation. Nobody wanted Kyrie gone but Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert wanted Kyrie gone. Dan Gilbert wanted Kyrie gone because, you know what, he was excited about the prospects of that first, getting the top pick in the draft, which supposedly, which Boston was obviously willing to surrender, along with the fact that the uncertainty of LeBron James left them a bit flummoxed. Excuse me. If LeBron James was going to leave, but Kyrie wanted to stay, what do you have? You have an all-world guard who's spectacular and already won a championship for you. I'm not buying that by a long shot. I understand that people didn't want Kyrie gone. I'm not accusing anybody of wanting him gone. What I'm saying is the measures that needed to be exhausted in an effort to keep him to stay and to make him want to stay were not exercised on far too
a la
many
Kobe with Dr. Buss.
On far too many occasions.
Well, look, basically what happened with Kobe was that Dr. Buss sat Kobe down and told him, look, boy, you're not going anywhere. This is the entertainment business. I'm the owner of the LA fucking Lakers. You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. So, you're the one who marched into my office 4 or 5 years ago and told me that you wanted to have your own team. I sold off that fat ass Shaq. I even let Phil Jackson go. I even begged for him to come back, all to appease you. If you think that I'm going to trade your black ass right now, you have another thing coming. So you're going to sit down. I'm going to call up Commissioner Stern. We're going to organize this trade, and you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Now get the fuck out of my office. All right? That's what Jerry Buss told Kobe. Dan Gilbert wasn't going to tell Kyrie Irving that. You know why? Because Kyrie Irving was not his top piece. The top piece that's there is LeBron. So Dan Gilbert is still scared to look LeBron in the face after what happened back in 2010. So the politics there are completely different. I believe that Dan Gilbert felt like Kyrie was expendable. And worst comes to worst, he'll have Isaiah Thomas there. Maybe he could sign to DeMarcus Cousins if LeBron ends up leaving. But I believe that Dan Gilbert knows that he's working with house money. And that's another thing. Jerry Buss is in the business of winning championships. The LA Lakers have a championship pedigree. The Cleveland Cavaliers had never won anything. The city of Cleveland had not won anything in over 50 years when they finally won a championship in 2016. So it's totally different pressure on Dan Gilbert.
There were folks in Cleveland who will remain nameless that acted like they didn't give a damn whether he stayed or went. And that had something to
by
do
the way,
with
the story
Kyrie
there
wanting to be gone. Okay?
The story in LA, by the way,
which by the way, Jackie McMullen pointed out, because remember, there was talk about an Eric Bledsoe trade coming to Cleveland.
Right.
All right, Kyrie was aware of that.
But Jackie Mack is the best.
No doubt.
Well, look, you really got to give the credit to Rob Parker, because Rob Parker was the first person I heard break that story. Well, I shouldn't say him. Him along with Chris Broussard, they had that story out 2 months ago. That shit is nothing new. All right. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more tidbits that come out as this season goes along, especially if Boston continues to play as well as they're playing and Cleveland kind of continues to falter. Right now, they're 24-13. If the Isaiah Thomas experiment blows up in their face, expect a lot of finger pointing and expect a lot of, I didn't want Kyrie to leave. Well, I didn't want Kyrie to leave. Well, I didn't want Kyrie to leave. As a lot of the potential luster off of LeBron James, may start to cause people to finger point towards him, and then he has to defend himself. So we'll see.
So Jerry Buss, the great owner, greatest owner in the history of American team sports for the Lakers, told me this story personally, and it's a well-known story, that Kobe went to him, I want to be traded. He said, Kobe, I have a 5-carat diamond. I'm not trading it for 5 1-carat diamonds. You know, it's not equivalent value. There's no way to get equivalent value for you. That did not happen in Cleveland. Was that a mistake, Stephen A.? Or does Cleveland properly recognize that you need chemistry to win a championship? That trading Kyrie, they could get deeper. They have Crowder to play defense. We'll see what Jijic turns into. They have a 2nd-round pick. And Isaiah can approximate Kyrie on offense. Because Cleveland is not L.A. Once LeBron is gone, Cleveland's over.
Absolutely. It's the point I just made. Good point, sir.
No one else is going to want to stay there. That's been the history of Cleveland basketball. It's not like free agents are pounding down the door, right?
I think that they may be able to re-sign an Isaiah Thomas, especially if they could bring in a DeMarcus Cousins. But, I mean, we'll see. That's way down the line, and that's predicated off of LeBron James deciding not to come back.
Right? It's not a good organization. Gilbert ran that into the ground. He's just lucky LeBron exists and is from Akron. So maybe that plays into it too. Our window is LeBron's window. They're the same thing. And if Kyrie is going to interfere with that, let's get rid of him and bring in pieces that can help.
I see too much, and I get all of that. You're not wrong about anything you're saying. It makes perfect basketball sense. I'm just saying that what I'm looking at it is from an entirely different vantage point. I'm seeing dudes trying to control the narrative. I'm seeing dudes trying to, gloss over what really happened there.
You see how the television media, sports media, how frustrated they are at athletes' abilities to actually control the story that's told about them. They don't want that. At one time, the print media was pretty much unchecked. They were proverbial gods. They were messengers. They were like the mythical Hermes. They were the ones who communicated the news, who let everyone know who to like and who not to like and things of that nature. Now with social media and of course the internet, outlets like YouTube, etc., people can actually give you their own take. And of course you have the Players Tribune set up by Derek Jeter. Much of the sport media has been disempowered, and it's frustrating them.
There in Cleveland, particularly last season. That's what I'm seeing right now. I'm not buying it. I'm in no way saying that folks wanted him gone. What I'm saying is they didn't do enough to make him want to stay. And that is what everybody is trying to shirk responsibility from. Everybody's trying to act like, we cool, but it's all him. He just decided he did the right thing for himself. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to stay. He wanted to go. Like they had nothing to do with it. They had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I believe that when Stephen A. says they, he's talking about LeBron James and his crew. Because remember, Stephen A. is in contact with LeBron James's crew. He can't get in contact with LeBron, and that frustrates him. So now he's going to start to out them. But no, they were not going to. When I say they, I'm talking about LeBron James's clique. They were not going to try to appease Kyrie. They believed that Kyrie was replaceable because they venerate LeBron. And though LeBron is great as a player, once again, I have him in my top 10 all time, around number 6 right now. He still needs a lot of help. He needs who can bring certain things to the table that he doesn't bring, like great spot up shooting, hustle plays, great one-on-one defense. These are things that LeBron is not doing right now. His shooting is up, but he's not playing good one-on-one defense anymore. So these are things that are going to show in the playoffs, especially against teams that will and can spread the floor. I do believe that should they meet up with the Boston Celtics, I will still give Cleveland the edge because of their experience factor, their experience advantage. But it wouldn't shock me if Cleveland were to lose to Boston because of Boston's coaching, their game plan, and their youth, which can be used to wear down Cleveland as long as Boston plays smart. If they play dumb, they'll make enough mistakes for Cleveland's for Cleveland's experience level and their experience advantage to shine forth. But we'll see. Anyway, peace.